that's where we're going to check in Glendale with quarterback Kyler Murray, who's returned mid-season last year from an ACL injury. Now he gets a first full season with Jonathan Gannon and at the helm. Throw the rook Marvin Harrison Jr. in the mix, and the Cards may have something brewing. CBS Sports' Jonathan Jones is in the desert one-on-one with QB1.
Jonathan Jones, CBS Sports, alongside Arizona Cardinals quarterback Kyler Murray. Kyler, thank you, number one, for joining us. And second of all, I remember being here about this time last year, and you were still recovering and rehabbing the injury. Outside of the obvious of how healthy you feel, what's sort of the biggest difference as you enter year two with this offense and how comfortable you can be with this offense?
Yeah, I would say you kind of hit it on the head. I would say just being comfortable, knowing what to expect. Kind of last year, obviously rehabbing, trying to get as much meeting time in with the guys as much as possible. Coming out here watching practice versus now, being in practice, being able to get those reps, they're valuable. Whereas last year was just mental. So playing half of the season last year, kind of get into a groove that we felt like we got into, playing high-level football in the back end of the season. So going into the offseason, man, it was easy for me to just continue to work to improve on what we had obviously accomplished at the end of the season. So now, man, this camp has been great so far. Very comfortable. Obviously with the addition of Marv, a couple of linemen, Trey Benson, Tip Ryman, but man, I'm excited. The offense is gelling well. The guys are. I'm seeing what I need to see right now.
Really?
Yeah.
Tell me about Marv, because we all saw him at Ohio State. I see him out here, so many hands catches, such short hands, right? What else are you getting from him out here?
Man, he loves the game, and I think that's obviously something that I think in the draft process that people were saying, obviously with his pops being a Hall of Famer, but it's the truth. He studies every receiver. He's watching guys in college. He's watching guys in the league. You can ask him about anybody, and he's going to have his analysis of them. But
do you usually agree with it?
We go back and forth. He's but you can respect those are intimate ball conversations. Things that you can't really get outside of us being in that locker room because everybody thinks they know what they're talking about. But it's good to see that he actually cares and loves it as much as he was obviously portrayed to be. But no, man, on the field, man, he's a specimen.
I was going through your stats the last couple of years. 2020, you're averaging about 50 rushing yards per game.
2020.
The last 3 years combined, it's really been around like 32 rush yards per game. Are we going to see you now fully healthy running around like you were in 2020? Or are you going to, I don't want to call it protect yourself a little bit more, but career longevity being more of a focus, if you will?
No, I mean, like, now being healthy, I felt like in the back end of the season, obviously coming off the injury, just trying to get my feet wet, obviously trying to do my thing in ball, of course, but play within the system. And I think, in the past years, if we're being honest, I was kind of a lot of the rush, a run game. So it was kind of a necessity in a sense. Now being in a system where I don't have to do all those things that I did before, which I'm fine with doing, but I think the rushing will happen when it happens. Obviously, me being healthy now going into this year, will I be able to do it more? Yeah, probably. I would obviously love to, get icky in the open field and stuff like that, but time will tell.
I was talking to your quarterback's coach, Israel Wolf, just a little bit ago, and he said, when going back to you being comfortable, that it's less about what we, the Arizona Cardinals, are doing for you, and it's more about, now I can focus on what the defense is trying to do because you know the system. Yeah. So while you're not worried about your drops, you're not worried about your timing so much. Is that pretty accurate? Yeah, and I think last year, like, there was times I'm in the game and I'm having to think, and not to say it wasn't successful, but there's times like you can't play at your elite peak if you're out there thinking, you know what I'm saying? So that's what came with being injured, which was understandable. But now it's not. There's no thinking. We're just going out there and doing and working on what we're working on, fine-tuning all those things and the details. But I'm excited, man. This offense, I put no limitations on this offense, and I know, people are sleeping on us, but it is what it is, Why do you think people are sleeping on you? Do you pay attention to it? No.
No, you see it. You see everything. You see it. Try to stay off of social media as much as possible, but like you see, obviously, who they talk about, who they don't talk about. Like I said, winning cures all, and Yeah, season's right around the corner, so.
How motivated are you by winning?
This is what I love to do. This is what I've always dreamt of doing, winning Super Bowls, and that's my goal. That's my goal, is to be the best, win Super Bowls. So the motivation is internal.
We talked to your head coach a little bit ago. I wanted to ask you, how's your cardio? Because he said a couple practices ago you were running around.
He made a joke today, I think. He told me. Yeah.
He made a joke. He said that you were out there running around and that you come back on third down and you kind of like dirt the ball.
No, I don't know. That didn't happen. No, I think, grind it all off season. I don't even know how many days I took off, if any. But obviously when you get out here and it's real, it's live. It's a little different. You get winded, and that's part of camp that you got to work through. And it's good. It's good to take off for 30 or 40 and then come back and have to throw a go or have to throw a dig and feel that fatigue, because it's Sunday's gonna be here real soon. So
I was talking around with a bunch of folks. I don't know that you're gonna talk about every single thing that you did with your teammates in the offseason, but taking them out to Southern California and working with a dozen of them, and going to Oklahoma and going to high schools on the weekends and throwing. Why was that so important for you to do this offseason?
Because I want to win. And I said, having guys now around my age, guys, that we have the, similar interest in things off the field that we can, it's easier. It's easier to, get everybody together versus, guys I've played with since I got in the league, may have been all over here on the East Coast, West Coast, have families, schedules collide and stuff like that. But nah, man, it's the camaraderie off the field matters, and I think that's a huge thing. The more we love each other, the harder we're gonna go for each other. So that was huge.
There you go, Kyler Murray. Thanks so much for your time.
With another set piece.
The Cardinals won 4 games in each of the last 2 seasons, but there's reason for hope. They were just one of 2 teams in the league last year to beat both the Eagles and Cowboys. The other team to do that was the Niners. Their 3 wins versus playoff teams in the regular season, get this, more than the Chiefs and Dolphins combined.
Ooh.
Couldn't believe that. And their run game ranked 4th in the league. They counted for the most 200-yard rushing games in the NFL.